Welcome to Hotline TV. I'm Quinn McCord.
And I'm John Mercurio. All right, we've all met Mark, Jenny, Maria, the names at the center of the Governor Mark Sanford scandal. But who else in the Palmetto State should we be paying attention to? This is the question we're asking on Hotline TV today. And for the answers, we turn to Quinn McCord. Quinn McCord, you're covering the story better than anyone at this table, so I thought maybe you would be a good person to ask that question to. There are a lot of names out there, obviously not necessarily in the Mark Sanford scandal, but in the South Carolina governor's race, which is of course directly connected to that scandal. Let's start with the big name on top that we're hearing a lot about, Lieutenant Governor Andre Bauer, if you will. Tell us a little bit about Andre Bauer and where he fits into this puzzle.
Well, you know, we all thought he might be the main beneficiary of, if Sanford resigns. And obviously all the other candidates in the race were hoping that Sanford doesn't resign because they wouldn't want Bauer to have a 18-month head start, run as an incumbent for this race that all these other people wanted an open governor's race they're going to run. But now Bauer has said if Sanford run, he would serve at the term and wouldn't run.
Right.
Now we're assuming that's a safe thing to say because
he could change his mind?
Well, I mean,
he always seemed to be sort of a reluctant gubernatorial candidate in the first place, right? A couple of years ago, he had said he never had any intention of running for governor. He charted out what the race would look like, and it didn't include him. And then he sort of changed his mind to run for governor. So.
Yeah, but these politicians always say things like that, and they always keep running. They're always open to be drafted, that sort of thing.
Such a skeptic, Quinn McCord. All right, let's move on.
I'm a skeptic.
There's another name that is very important in this race: State Representative Nikki Haley. Not necessarily a household name outside of South Carolina, but somebody who Sanford had sort of favorably viewed and not necessarily endorsed, but had looked more favorably on than Bauer.
Well, I'm still questioning how much of a household name she is even in South Carolina. I mean, she is just a state representative.
Sure.
And of course, she's young, attractive, a potential future face of the Republican Party, et cetera, et cetera. But she's still pretty new to politics, even locally. And, let's just face it, I mean, state representatives don't have a history of getting elected governor in any state without sort of doing other things first. And you have some other major players here, like our next candidate, Attorney General
Henry McMaster.
Henry McMaster.
The master.
And I think, he's well positioned to do this, to win this potentially. I mean, he's already a statewide official, he's been there for 8 years. It seems like he's spent, 25 years in state politics.
He's been the former state chairman.
Former state chairman. And attorney generals have great track records of becoming governors. Now, it's true that in 2002, Mark Sanford and the lieutenant governor.
Well, he beat Chris Condon, didn't he, or Charlie Condon?
Yeah. I mean, so that, but I think that was more of an exception. Also, I think Mark Sanford had already been out of Congress for a couple of years. The Republican label.
I don't think he was out of Congress before he ran for governor.
Yes, because he took a three-term limit.
Okay.
Whereas
2 years. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and so the Sanford model is what Gresham Barrett, the congressman, might be shooting for, saying, I've been out of the state, maybe I'm out of the sort of the loop of the internal problems, but compared to 8 years ago, I think Washington is not the best place to have built up credentials for a Republican running for state office.
In the minority, too. I mean, the difference between Sanford running and having been in the majority and having actual legislative accomplishments to talk about, and Barrett, I think, is huge.
But, Barrett's from the northwest corner of the state. There's a lot of Republican primary voters sort of concentrated in those 2 congressional districts
Upstate.
All
right, Democrats waiting in the wings. Democrats held this governor's office 8 years ago with a man named Jim Hodges. Now, Jim Hodges is back. He's running. How do Democrats at this point, do you think, position themselves to benefit politically from this scandal?
Well, I mean, like any minority party, that they have to wait for these sorts of scandals. They're often.
Well, this is how Hodges won in the first place, right? In '98, when was it in '98? Yeah, he ran in '98. He beat David Beasley lost the primary.
No. You're thinking of the Senate when Beasley ran again for the Senate seat.
Right, he beat Beasley in the he beat Beasley in the general.
Yeah, but and I think that's the important thing is minority parties also have a better shot of defeating an unpopular incumbent, like say in New Jersey, of course, I'm were to go down, and I mean, presumably there could be enough Sanford taint to affect any of these Republican nominees.
The Blago taint hits South Carolina.
Yeah, but I mean, it didn't hurt Jim Risch in Idaho, that Larry Craig. I mean, Larry Craig could have won re-election, but it didn't transfer.
I think it's very, very specific to Sanford. It's really not a Republican scandal. Although I think, as you mentioned, or you inferred, Nikki Haley could be affected by this because she was considered sort of his strongest ally in the race.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, Bauer has eccentricities. You know, Haley
Who doesn't, though?
Well, exactly. I mean, Haley has sort of good things about her, but she's associated with Sanford. I think people are maybe ready to move on, and you know. So I don't know. I think McMaster has a good shot. I'm saying it right now.
Such a good race. Such a good story. This is what Hotline lives for. But unfortunately for today, we're out of time. Until next time, I'm John Mercurio.
And I'm Quinn McCord. See you on the flip side.